Hey, Alexa, what crap did John Hicks say this week on the radio? I'm sure I don't want to hear it, but I'm interested to find out.
Helping you solve the retirement puzzle. Welcome to The Retirement Solution with John Hicks.
Here with John Hicks, I'm Jennifer Perry. We'd love to hear from you here on the Retirement Solution podcast. You can always drop us an email with any questions for John at retirementsolutionradio.com. And you turned off all those text and tweet alerts over there, John, for the show today. I hate when those go off. You know,
I tell you what, POTUS keeps texting, and now that he's left town, I'm just trying to catch up.
Nice of him to drop by this week.
Big week.
Yeah.
Big week.
Huge. Sorry, I can't do it like you do. But
I can't either. I can't do it like me either, or like him either.
You got to keep working on the Trump, I think. We got to perfect that because, I mean, we're in for another long year. This election is still over a year away. Can you believe that?
I can believe it, but it's going to get so much worse between now and then.
Really?
I mean, right now, I think most of the bandwidth, although, kind of volatile and weird in its own way, it's going to get so much worse at the end of this year and the beginning of next year. I'm not looking forward to that.
No.
Every crazy on the planet is going to come out and try to thwart the president from doing his initiative. And of course, he is who he is. Who knows what's going to be said in retaliation and or backlash and or anything else for that matter. So it's going to be an interesting year or so. I wish it would come a little quicker.
Me too.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Already politics are starting to affect our financial headlines, though, John.
Yes.
And we've seen that big time over the last few weeks here. And it actually kind of reminds me of this old George Clooney movie, some of the headlines we've seen lately.
Where are you?
Tail of the banks, kicking up something wicked here. Where are you?
Going in.
It's being called the worst storm in recorded history.
Hurricane Grace is accelerating off of Sable Island.
Once it starts, no force on Earth can stop it.
These storms have collided. You're going to run right into this thing.
Call it the perfect storm.
Is that Christian Bale at the end? That's weird.
Picture a world where the storms are big and the acting is subpar.
It really was in that movie, unfortunately. But I do like some George Clooney.
The movie.
So,
yeah. So the movie itself was actually built on a book, and I can't remember the author. I'd actually read the book before. But that movie, The Perfect Storm, I gave a little bit of homage to that movie in our book that's going to be released here later this year.
Which happens to be called The Retirement Solution, if you're wanting to Google that. Yeah.
Actually called The Retirement Solution. But we talked about it. We talked a good little bit about, what was going on in this movie that made it such a big deal. And so do we have a couple seconds here, Jennifer, to kind of go back and talk a little bit about a really terrible George Clooney movie, but happens to be kind of illustrative? Is that a word? Illustrative?
Illustrative? I don't know.
Illustrative?
Yeah.
It's going to illustrate. Hey, it's going to basically tell us a story that we can maybe learn from when it comes to finances.
Thank you. That's better.
How about that one? Yeah, that's better. Anyway, so George Clooney's character in the movie was basically a struggling boat captain, okay? And he was basically a fisherman. He would go out there and he would try to catch some fish, bring them in, sell them, and make some money. And for whatever reason, there was a really bad year, okay? And he needed to go out, he needed to make money, but it had turned that part of the year to where fishing can get kind of dangerous. There's all kinds of storms that could come up. Fish don't typically go to the shallow water or more shallow water where they're easy to catch. You have to go much further out. But he was desperate. He needed to actually go make some money. And so he assembled a ragtag crew of all the other people that were doing the dumb thing because they just wanted to make money and they weren't actually thinking that their lives were at risk. And they go out there and they actually run into a storm. Now, one storm's not a big deal, see, but this fishing captain said, you know what? We've gotten this lucky this far. Let's go push it a little bit further. Now, here's what this reminds me of at this point in time. This reminds me of a couple stories here recently I've heard where some folks have saved up their money and they're thinking about retirement the next 6 or 7 years or so. But now they're thinking, this market's been going up so long, so I don't think it's going to fall apart. I think the president's probably going to make some things work out. I think things are going to be good. And since my investments have been so good for me, I'm going to stay in there. I'm going to hang right in. And of course, there's always that ragtag crew around who says, man, I'm going to do the same thing. Hey, if you're going for it, man, I'm going to go for it too. The problem is the dangers that faced this seaboat captain, Billy Tyne, in the movie are the same ones that are going to face us in retirement. So anyway, so the seaboat captain, George Clooney, goes out there, and not only did he run into the one storm, the one that we heard there on that broadcast, there were actually two other storms. They all converged at the same time. So guys, think about this, and let's make this analogy really more clear. What happens if all of a sudden we're in a very politically charged environment, maybe like now, yeah? So we got a whole bunch of sides fighting for power. And there's one person in power that no one else seems to like except for the people that got him in. And then there's everyone else who's trying to take it over. So there's one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is that we have a stock market that's been going up the longest that it's ever gone up in the history in the country. We're going on 11 years. This is literally the longest. The last time that we were up close to this high was 1929, and of course that started the Great Depression. Am I saying that's going to happen? Of course not.
Right.
But the point is there's the second storm. The market's been up for a while. Here's the big storm number 3. The Federal Reserve, although everyone's hoping that they'll drop rates and improve the economy, the problem is that they don't have that many more weapons to fight the storm this time. They're kind of at that last little bit. There's that last little bit in the quiver that they can actually pull out. And so at those points in time, if we have a market downturn, at the same time that we change hands in an office of the presidency, at the same time that the Fed can't do much, this could be the perfect storm for retirement. And what do I mean by that? What would happen if not only do we have a downturn, but it took a long time to come back?
Right.
Let's say that it took 6 or 7 years for the market to rebound. Maybe it didn't even go down that far. It just goes down 15 or 20 or 30%. That would stink. Nothing like the last 2 times it was down. It was down over 50%. The last 2 major recessions, which would be devastating. But let's say this time it's not quite as bad. It's only down 30%. But let's say you want to retire the next 3 to 5 years. Okay? Now, all of a sudden, we're down 30%, and we want to pull money out, and it takes a long time for it to come back. Now, do you see how this might be with a perfect storm for almost every single American out there that does not have a safety net? Because what happens if we start pulling from a portfolio that really doesn't make much money? So, well, John, I don't have to worry about that. My money's not in the stock market. Perfect. What are you earning on those CDs? Nothing. As a matter of fact, if you invested in German bonds, Germany will give you back less money 10 years from now than you give them. Seriously. If you went and bought a German bond, a bond in the German sovereign entity, they will give you, if you give them $10,000, they will give you back $9,900 in 10 years.
Wow.
Why on earth would people lock in a loss?
Yeah.
And that's what gets kind of scary, guys. Why would they do that? Why would anyone in their right mind do it? Because think about it. Wouldn't you rather lock in a known loss that won't devastate you than potentially deal with some terrible loss that you never saw coming?
It's true.
And this is not 1 or 2 people, Jennifer, that's done this. We're talking to the tune of $18 trillion worldwide has negative interest rates for governments.
Wow.
This isn't like Enron going out and issuing bonds now at negative interest rate. This is the governments, and people are getting money back less. So the point of all this is, this perfect storm movie, and really my whole analogy here, is simply, we need to make sure now more than ever, as we get into a highly politically charged season, we have another year to go, it potentially will be worse when it comes to market volatility than what we've even experienced up until now. Number 2, interest rates don't have too many places to go on the downside. Yes, a little bit. Don't get me wrong. But what are we getting paid on those CDs and bank notes and low-risk bonds? Not much.
Right.
And then the market doesn't have to go down. It absolutely does not have to go down. But where's the upside from here? The question is, what would happen if we did have a downturn and it took a long time to get back? If you have not done that math on your portfolio, guys, I'm fearful that you're just like George Clooney's character. I'm afraid you're about to navigate your boat out in waters that we shouldn't ever be in. And there will be some people that'll follow you. They followed him in the movie. Mm-hmm. They'll follow you too. That doesn't make it right. Because the one thing that I didn't say by the end of that story, they all lost.
Right.
They all lost their lives. Now, hopefully it won't be that dramatic for us, even if that happens. But the point is that we don't want to lose our financial life. We don't want to lose our financial dreams because we don't have that plan. Everyone needs to know their worst case scenario, their maximum drawdown. You've heard me say it on the show 100 times, MDD, maximum drawdown. What is the worst thing that your portfolio can experience? If you do not know that, you should not be manning as a captain your own life vessel. I promise you, because you don't want the rest of your crew members, whether your kids and your wife and the people depend on you. You don't want them going down with you because you didn't have a plan. Get a plan and get prepared because the bad stuff might be out there. It may blow by us.
Yeah.
But guys, we don't want to take that risk now. We don't.
Have questions for John? Drop us an email at retirementsolutionradio.com.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if John Hicks is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through John Hicks, Kentucky Insurance License number 998827.